Hey, music lovers, Women's History Month has begun, and I've got a great conversation that you should check out with Gina and Rorie Kelly, two fine musicians. There's a show coming up at the Belmore Theater that you have to check out, and we get deep into the legends of women who have rocked our world. You're going to love it. Check it out. Hey, everybody. I am really excited because I have two wonderful ladies on the program today. Rorie Kelly, who I know very well. Rorie was an early guest on the Long Island Sound podcast, and Gina, and we've got lots to talk about. Ladies, welcome to the Long Island Sound podcast.
Hey. Thank you so much. Hi.
So you've got a show coming up in March. Tell me about the show. Tell me everything about it, and where it's going to be and what you're going to do. And it's lady-based, right? If
lady-based. I like that.
Girl-based. Girl power. Yeah, I don't know.
Girl power, woman power. I like that. I'll start with this one. So about 5 years ago, I started a company called Women Who Rock. And after a very brief, but almost a cease and desist from a larger company, I had to terminate that company.
Oh, geez.
And I recently opened up Rejection Cake Productions, which is a production company primarily focusing on hybriding tribute-style musical acts with a theatrical or highly theatrical twist. And the first project I wanted to work on is reviving something I started 5 years ago, which is Gina B's Women of Rock, which is a musical tribute to some of the greatest trailblazing women in rock music history. And again, it has a kind of a theatrical style to it. We have multimedia involvement, such as a lot of videos of the women we're representing, audio clips of them, some unique song medleys and arrangements to kind of fit a more theatrical vibe. It's not cover band style where we're replicating things right off the record of some of these favorite songs. And it's a 90-minute show. And it's the premiere show for my company, Rejection Cake Productions. And we're performing it next week for the first time. It's like our premiere/workshop showcase at the Belmore Movie Theater and Showplace. And
cool.
Something I'm really excited about with this project, and kind of I'm going to speak a little on Rorie just for a second because and then please chime in, Rorie. But I really wanted to find a way to bridge the gap between the tribute world and kind of being a part of the problem with recycling, being a cover singer by trade and full time. Sometimes I felt like I was a part of the problem, with preventing new up and coming artists from being heard or getting their shot. And since my background is in theater and I've only worked as a cover singer, when I went to do this show, I was like, okay, well, how can I also promote up and coming artists? And I was like, all right, let's do something no one else does. Let's have an opening act for my Women of Rock tribute that is going to feature an original artist to showcase their original work. I didn't see anyone doing that. And I was like, okay, well, I want to do that because I think it's going to kind of drive that point home of like creating community and creating support alongside creating commercial entertainment. And I thought of Rorie because, frankly, I'm just a fan and also a friend. And somewhere along the lines, it went from Rorie just opening the show and being our featured artist to Rorie actually joining the Women of Rock band and now being a part of the entire tribute project. She is one of the vocalists and the rhythm guitar player for the act. Nice. So that's been really cool and really exciting for me because not only is Rorie a talent, but they have the personality and she understands what I'm trying to achieve with this show. And that's really important to me above all else, is someone that understands the mission and the brand. And
I'm sorry to cut you off. You know what I find so interesting? There is that kind of tug of war, I would say, out in the entertainment business, at least on Long Island, about the time of the tribute band. Okay, you can name a dozen right off the bat that do the band and or try to mimic the artist in style as well as dress, down note to note, right? I remember talking to a guy about it, and there was this group that covers the Almonds, and they go, yeah, they do it note for note. And he goes, that's horrible. It's magical that they can, but it takes a lot out of it. So I'm really glad you're doing what you're doing, because, you know, I can tell you so many artists like, oh, you should do a Willie Nelson thing. You're just like Willie. It's like, yeah, but I got my own art that I'm trying to promote.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're trying to cross, or that you're going to cross the chasm of the two, and then highlight what I call, I think I've coined this, the wellspring of talent on Long Island, because it really amazes me every time. There's so much out there, and I'm really glad you're doing what you're doing. All right, I got off my my soapbox there. I just had to say that.
No, that's awesome, because that's really what I'm passionate about. I've always actually come from a past where I've almost been insecure, and I hate to admit this, but I'll be honest, I've almost been insecure as someone who has made their money and I've been pretty lucky making money as a cover singer. I kind of used to like say that in a negative light to myself, like I'm just a cover singer. And
Right.
I have little qualms with that. I wish I would like a future where I get to do more original projects. But I know my talent, and something that I do very well, is taking other people's music and transmuting it with my own energy, my own style, my own vivaciousness, and like interpreting it from that place of authenticity. And I really wanted to drive that home with this show, that there was no impersonations happening. There was no
Mm.
over the top costumes. We are really wanting to talk to the audience and perform for them in a way where we all feel like we're a part of the performance, and we're kind of all in on it. And we're all in on the way these icons have influenced our authenticity. And I really want that to cut through in the way we perform these songs, even in the way they're arranged. I really want that to cut through. And I really am just not, for me, I'm not about impersonations. And I don't want to produce any show that shows impersonations. That's just me.
All right, Rory, you jump in. Tell us what you think.
So I am really excited to be a part of this. I was a part of like kind of the first iteration when Gina put together a video and a release last year called For Stevie, which was like a Stevie Nicks medley, and put together this band and incredible video that we shot with our friend Celia Warner. And it was so cool to get to be a part of it. It was like a project I had never done before. And it wasn't that thing that Gina was saying about like, it's not a tribute. It's a tribute in that I am like paying homage, but it's not like, I'm not trying to sound just like Stevie Nicks. Like Stevie Nicks already does that.
Right.
And it's cool too, because she takes different versions of songs. The version of Gold Dust Woman that we're doing is more like the whole cover of Gold Dust Woman. The version of Landslide is more like the Dixie Chicks. And it's exciting for me because it puts me in this place where I get to be like a loud electric guitar player in a way that I don't usually get to be as a solo artist, you know?
Right.
So it's just like, it's exciting to kind of rock out, and it's exciting that it's still a creative project. It's not like we're showing up and we're doing it like you were saying, Steve, like note for note, you know. It's like we're showing up, and yeah, we do have music and we do have arrangements, but we're having conversations in rehearsal about like, what should I be doing there? What should you be doing there? What would make this pop, you know? And we're making it our own and playing to the strengths of the different voices and instruments in the group. And it's just like, it's a really exciting creative experience for me.
You know what I find interesting is the whole theatrical aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so I'll just give you a quick aside. I worked with a friend, Mike Nugent. We did this tiny desk video, you know, and Mike has a certain presence. You know, he's moved from being a sideman, and I've told him this, to being a frontman, different theatrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to tie into it. And I remember talking to other producers where like you inspire to say, look, you're at 8 or you're at 7. I want you to be at 11. Turn the knob to 11.
Yeah.
And really put it out there. Tying in the theatrical experience is going to be interesting to see. And then I always try to look from the audience's eye on this. Hey, you know what? There is something to be said about a tribute band. Oh, I love Foreign, or I love Steely Dan, or I love this, so this is what I expect. Then I go in and watch the show. Did they measure up? Is the first thing I'm thinking. Okay. And is it different? You're taking that legacy of, hey, yeah, I appreciate these women in rock and now let me see what they do with it. There's that mystery I think you can play on that could work out.
Yeah, and I think like for me, my whole background is in theater. That's how I started in entertainment. I was a child actor. I went to school for theater. I was a theater teacher.
Get out of here.
Full time.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What you like on a Quaker Oats commercial? What do you mean a child actor? Tell me.
Not that successful, but like I did things like I had an agent, and I had a few agents and managers, and I was like spent a lot of my early teenage years in and out of casting offices, film casting offices.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah, I never got a big break in that. It's actually quite funny. And it makes sense to me now as an adult. I had a lot of like almosts and cast in smaller things, and I was cast in this really awesome movie one time called City Island with Andy Garcia.
Oh.
Literally 2 weeks before filming, my agent gets a call saying they're going to go with an Irish girl, not an Italian one. And I got pulled.
Man.
And I was
Wow.
like, what was I, like 14? My life was crazy. I used to like partially go to school, and then I'd be in the city all day long at auditions, different agent casting offices. And that was my life for a while, was trying to be a serious actor. So I ended up doing, I've done like non-equity tours, and I've done commercial stuff and whatever. I was a theater teacher, and that's always been a part of like my styling. I've
Cool.
always felt that I'm a theatrical performer, theatrical rock singer. And so, yeah, with this show and with some future shows for my company, that theatrical element is like the lifeblood for me, and what's going to separate it from other experiences, other tribute acts, by taking a more creative approach. And also, the thing about theater is theater artists want to leave their audience in a state of self-reflection. They want to leave their audience in a state of feeling. We want to impose something on the audience when you go see a theater show. And I don't think people think about that so in depthly when it comes to tribute acts. They're like, I just want to hear the good music and hear the band sound like that band they're tributing. It's like, for me, that's not enough. That's never been enough for me as a cover singer. I want to create shows that leave people with a question. And, for Women of Rock, in the second song of the show, I literally asked the question, how are you going to be your own icon? And that to me is like, that is like the thesis. It's like, how are you going to be your own icon? And we kind of use the individual aspects and characteristics of the women we are celebrating to then kind of show the audience, this is how you can be your own icon. Like, this is how you could do it. And then hopefully by getting them involved in the different little the different little moments of the show, the audience interactive moments, I want them to leave with that sense of like, hell yeah, I am my own icon. I have, I feel empowered. I feel in power. And this show affected me. It's not just some random tribute concert. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? There's, as you were talking, and I was listening, as you were talking, I thought about the different experiences that I had going to concerts, going to theater shows, I'm thinking about Taylor Swift and some of the really, what I would call high-powered theatrical concerts.
Yeah.
I guess, there is a big impression of that, and it's about expectations, right? So I think, and I'm going to come back to that mystery thing of, if I can leave an impression on you as an artist where you're being a little self-reflective, and Rorie and I were talking about this about authenticity and stage presence and being extrovert on the stage, introvert in real life. And my point was, you know what? When you can be that transparent, you invite me in, and now the emotion is getting fed back and forth, and I can walk away from that experience a more fulfilled person, to be honest with you. Anyway.
You got to set the example. Example. I think, Rory, I was saying that last night at rehearsal. It's like, if we're not up here and I am not displaying my authenticity, if I'm not being somewhat fearless, if I'm not letting myself go in such a beautiful, expressive, emotional way up here, then how is how is this this concept going to land to the audience? And I want them to feel free to express themselves as well, especially at the show. It's not a show to be quiet at. It's not a show to sit back and be quiet at. It's a show to get up and join us. And I think there's something to be said about people in a nice venue, like at a theater with nice velvet seats, when they get to stand up and kind of act out. There's like this part of them that's like, oh, like even in that moment, they get to break a barrier. They get to push past themselves in some way and express. And it creates this beautiful camaraderie with the performers on stage and the audience. And that's that magical feeling that I chase as a creator and an entertainer. I really chase that. And for me, I look at it in a very spiritual way too. I'll refer to that feeling as God, or I'll refer to that feeling as spirit and the universe. But that's just me. But I really chase that. And I really genuinely care about how good and affected the audience feels after a show, because I want it to be about something. I don't have time to waste in this life to make meaningless creative endeavors happen. I don't.
Hey, I want to talk about the elephant in the room.
Sure.
This might be from left field.
Tell
and
us
I'm going
about
to
the
reference
elephant.
when I first started my podcast, Rorie challenged me and said, "You got to get more girls. You got to get more women
I probably
on your
didn't
podcast."
say girls. I probably said women.
Yeah, humans. I don't know. You confuse the hell out of me all the time. But no, but I wasn't thinking. And then I met Nico Payton and a bunch of people, and then I'm like, okay, rock has really been dominated to a certain extent by males. Okay. And, I think about the Bangles, right? Great musicians, but kind of stuck in a, I don't know, I'm searching for the word, just
Like
kind
a
of made up.
pigeonhole.
Yeah, they were kind of pigeonholed, and Hart was pigeonholed to an extent, but they were great artists. And I think that's changing. And I think, all the great women in rock, from Janis Joplin to all these different people, what they brought to it. And I think the time is right, really, to shine a spotlight on women's influence in rock music, and bringing this theatrics to it really makes sense. I'm really kind of excited for you guys. And the fact that, by the way, tell me, so I talked about the elephant, but tell me about your perspective on that. And then tell me more about the Belmore Theater, because I think that kind of rejuvenated itself, if I recall.
Yeah, well, my response to that is, again, I came from entertainment. I've lived time and time again the double standard of being a woman in this business. I think we're entering a time where there's more authenticity in music. I'm seeing a lot more women, not just as vocalists or in music, but just women working, say, as engineers, women working in positions in entertainment that maybe were mostly just inhabited by men. I mean, it's still mostly inhabited by men, but we're seeing the numbers start to change, and we're seeing like a more welcoming attitude towards women entertainers and doing things against the grain, or just unapologetically being themselves. Something for me that really inspired me, and this, not to call out the Long Island music community, but to call out the Long Island music community. Growing up here in Long Island, working just as a cover singer, I really got the feeling, especially from specific age groups, that I was meant to be seen and heard in a very specific, small way.
Oh, okay.
And no offense, there's a lot of bands, and this is controversial. I see some big bands on the island, won't name some names, that seem to perpetuate this, where the woman singer or the woman entertainer in the band just has to be a little smaller in her presence and in her song selection than maybe the male counterpart. And it's really tiresome. It's really tiresome, and it was really tiresome when it was directed my way. Because I have a lot of personality and I have a big voice, and I'm really not afraid to let that show. Talk about being an extrovert. I'm an extrovert in my work, and then when I am home, you don't hear from me. I am quiet. I'm meditating. I got candles lit. I don't want to be bothered. I recharge.
Nice, right?
Yeah, that really over the years, since I've been singing in bands since I'm about like 21, 22, that was just immediately bothersome to me. I just was constantly being told to make myself less of something and to not outshine usually someone else in the band. And also, just frankly, I have been told by guys in the Long Island community, I'm a female, and I have an ever-changing body, and when that body grows during certain times in my life, you better believe I've heard it. You better believe I've lost work because of it. And that's from the local scene. So I just want to make that clear. and point that out, that is still happening, and that is happening here on Long Island. And if you're someone that perpetuates that,
you're going to go
I don't
kick our
know,
ass.
kind of rough. We don't get paid enough out here in these clubs to get fired from $150 bar gigs because we gained a little weight. But yeah, I really was just like, hell no to that. Let me start my own stuff and do my own thing.
Good for you.
Because I trust my leadership anyway. I lead with kindness, but also sternness. And I think I trust me. I trust my compassion.
Hey, Rorie, what's your experience with that? If you don't mind.
Yeah. I feel like I have a little bit of a different path because I'm a solo artist and almost all of my gigging has been me, myself, and I haven't pursued the path, that Gina has been on of playing with different bands and a variety of different like sizes of acts. That said, my mom did. My mom was was doing club dates and stuff like that, with like all of the agencies probably that like you have worked with, Gina, like that you would have heard of. And my mom at that time did it almost exactly what I do, like went into bars solo with a guitar and sang and played. And also was like, like playing with big bands, like playing both guitar and singing. And they didn't want to pay her the same as the male musicians. And in particular, she had this one guy like, oh, well, my daughter is also on the payroll, but I don't pay her as much as the musicians. And she's like, what do you think that I am? If not one of the musicians, there's a lot of sexism too on how we look at vocalists. Just the fact that many of us in the kind of pop music scene define a difference between vocalists and musicians, which is false, right? The vocal cords are not only an instrument, they're an instrument that requires a great deal more precise study because unlike a guitar or a piano, you can't see where the notes are. You can't know if you're hitting it right. You have to feel it and you have to build your own library of where each note is. So it's more like playing a slide trombone. And it's even more like playing something like a brass instrument because there's so many variations of timbre and tone and things to master within your body. So it's an athletic experience as well as a musical experience. And yet it's downgraded. And I strongly feel that that is rooted in sexism, like devaluing what we see as feminine because we associate singing as being a feminine thing.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, well, for me, I've managed to escape some of those things Gina's talking about, having to make yourself smaller, literally and figuratively on stage, by choosing to like go out and be a solo act, and book myself in that way. And so like, there's no one I have to like clear with other than, I guess, like the venue owners, the places I'm performing. There's no one that I have to like prove my image to in the way that you might if you're joining like a band or something like that. And when I have, every time I've considered kind of getting involved in that kind of a project, it's been very clear that how I look and how I present, and not just like being thin, presenting more feminine, dressing a certain way, that all of that was as important or more important a consideration than my musicality. And often that my musical contributions weren't really desired, that it was more like I see female singers and bands being treated more like a Barbie doll to kind of like prop up and look pretty and sing. And it's it's a little messed up.
Yeah. But you know what I'm excited about? So I have a daughter, right? And I think through her lens many times. And I'm thinking about, and I would really encourage you to have families bring kids to this show.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think through a young girl's eyes, when they can see somebody perform and be the center and be a collaborative group of women, it's you don't know where those seeds are going to be sown, but the hope and possibility is, hey, she can do that. I can do that too.
Yes. If you can see it, you can be it.
Right. Yep. And the fact that you're working to break those stereotypes and put it out there and recognize the legacy of women in rock, good and bad, whatever they had to do, to get their art out and now bring it to a level and then include the indie artist in doing it through their voice and through their how they've honed their instrument and their art. It's kind of a unique thing. It's really kind of cool.
That's great that you said it that way, because I'm an educator. You know, I've taught in the classroom, and I've seen the effect. I'll never forget some of my freshmen one time when I was teaching in I think it was 2018, right before I left teaching full time. My freshmen, one of the girls said to me, and some of the boys, they were like, "You have no problem being yourself, and it's inspiring." And I recognize, you know, you hear people say, so many people walk through this world with a mask on. And I have this problem. I call it a problem. It's not really a problem, but it's like, I have a problem. I can't be fake. I don't think I can be fake. Sometimes I'm honest to a fault. And I like that part of me that goes around just completely as myself. And I notice the effect it has on people, specifically my younger students. It's almost like, you know, I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but it is. It's like a role model thing where they witness a safe person being unapologetically themselves, being confident in whatever body they have, in whatever, you know, phase of their life they're at, whatever clothes they're wearing. They witness and perceive that confidence, and I think it's a positive thing. And I know for our show next week, I just had a really nice gesture. An uncle of mine who really cares about the arts and really cares about philanthropy things. He bought like 40 tickets so that I can, and he's not going to the show. He can't go. He's traveling, but he bought 40 tickets because he knows I want to give those tickets to a bunch of high school kids, high school girls that can't attend because, you know, maybe they can't afford it or they don't know about the show. As well with, I work with some organizations that are involved in music therapy, music programs with people with disabilities. And I really want, you know, I want them there. I want them in that environment because in my mind, I would hope it's a safe one and one that's just really supportive. And I just know how important that was for me as a young girl, a teenager, to be in environments where I see women working together, being safe with each other, being kind and being confident. And like, you know, just that's witnessing that and being in the presence of that is really important for everyone. But for me, especially young girls, because I'm a girl and that's who I'm thinking of. But and I'm excited for that.
When you think about young women, young men too, you know, the awkward stages of dreaming of who you're going to be, the fear of being transparent, the putting on the big mask, macho, whatever feminine mask that you have to wear, and then watching people. I had a conversation with my daughter who does ponds, and she's a teacher and great public speaker, great artist. And I've seen her progression in the past 5 years of her stage presence where she has self-effacing humor that doesn't dig too deep. She's totally honest about who she is. And she has a sense of comfort with her audience of total strangers. No, and I'm a gloating dad for sure. But I see the progress and the encouragement that brings to invite people in.
The transparency.
Right. Yeah. If we can invite people into our rooms and say, you can do this and you're going to have a good time. And I just given you hope of what you can be or what you can work on. I think that's beyond the entertainment.
That's the experience part. That is the experience, and it's powerful. And that's just, I keep thinking at this time, because I just opened this company and I'm working on a few shows right now. And so I just keep going back to how important creating that environment is for me in these shows. And although I have a business mindset and this is my full-time job, right? I would like to make money at some point, but I want to make it from this place of creating an impact in my little world and creating that community and creating that space of empowerment through this music, or all this different music I love so much. And it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, and I'm just tying it to a conversation I had with a guy years ago. I made hundreds, thousands of sales presentations. And I notice this in a lot of different venues, whether it's the church I go to now or walking into a store. You know, this guy, Bill Kushan, I'll never forget this. We had a big presentation the next day. He goes, "Oh, when does it start?" "Oh, it starts at 9." And he was doing something to me. He goes, "No, it starts tonight. You go walk the area that you're going to be presenting in. You check out all your equipment. And it doesn't start when you start talking at the front of the stage. It starts when you make friends with people in the audience on the way in and find cheerleaders to support you and all these things." And I tell you, I'm getting the tingles. He passed away. He's a great friend of mine. But it really gave me some insight to say, you know what? The experience starts before the lights go on. And that's part of theatrics, right? And the more you can have that welcoming atmosphere. When I walk into that theater, man, if somebody greets me and says, "Hey, welcome. Oh, here's a program, this and that." That just set the stage, so to speak. I'm getting on the soapbox again. I apologize.
No, it's
but
good.
that whole experience is going to lead me to go to my friends and family. Go, you're not going to believe what I just saw. And I won't talk about getting greeted at the front door because I've internalized that. But that's part of the experience. And then, if I can leave and I have a child with me who's excited about what she or he saw, man, that's my world right there.
Rorie, that's you'd speak on alchemy.
It is alchemy, and it's well, it's also, to me, it's like it's the community aspect of, like, yes, it's a performance, but it's not like the this like us and them kind of mentality of like I'm up in a pedestal and you kind of like praise me or whatever. And I'm a streamer, and I like do that every single week, and it's really interesting how the things that are not valued in a lot of live performances become incredibly valuable in these like kind of non-traditional spaces like live streaming, where it wouldn't be appropriate for you to show up at like a listening space, right? And like be like cracking jokes throughout the entire show, But if you're on a live stream and you're in the chat, it actually is a part of the engagement to be like kind of talking back to the person who's talking to you, and there's conversation there, and it's not just this one-way experience. So it's funny because a lot of other musicians, maybe this is me being like both an internet kid and an introvert, but a lot of other musicians have told me like, how I don't feel connected when I'm live streaming, and I feel really connected because I'm having conversations with people, right? Like I'm reading the chat out loud, and I'm like messing up my lyrics because someone made a goofy pun in the chat, and we're having an experience together where all of us are moved, all of us are changed by it. And I think that's what you're doing in this live way with how interactive you're making the show, Gina, with like, we're inviting people up to dance, like this is a theater where usually people sit and act like there's rules about how you act in the theater, and you're like, hey, we're going to break the rules together, and that's very, very special.
Yeah. That's neat. So before it gets away from us, we got to tell people when and where it is.
Yeah.
Like several times. It's at the Belmore Theater in Belmore, obviously. What's the date?
March 15th.
March 15th. At what time?
At 8 p.m.
And where can they get tickets?
There's an Eventbrite link. It's GinaBRocks.eventbrite. If you go to the Women of Rock Facebook page or Instagram, there's links where you could, pay for your ticket through Eventbrite. And a portion of the proceeds for every ticket go to the Carol M. Baldwin Breast Cancer Research Foundation.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that was another way. That actually wasn't my idea originally, because I am not good when it comes to ticket promotion. Oh, no, siree, that is not my specialty. But my manager, my partner in this, thought that would be a really nice thing. And I was like, that's incredible. It's a great idea. Like, we should be doing that. We could do that at every show. We could take a portion of our ticket sales and give it to a local charity or something, especially breast cancer. I keep thinking about, we cover Melissa Etheridge, and I literally think about the way Melissa Etheridge so boldly in the press and in the public eye fought breast cancer, and showed up at award shows performing her guts out with her freshly shaved head after going through chemo. And I was just like, oh God, so inspiring. I was like, of course we have to do something like that to continue to help and support community or people.
Yeah, and that helps create community, because I don't think there's anybody on Long Island. My wife is a survivor of breast cancer. I don't think there's a family on Long Island, for many reasons, that doesn't know somebody who's had breast cancer.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're allowing them to be part of your community to say, hey, yeah, I'm helping out in what little way I can, I think is a really good thing. And by the way, to the audience, comment below, especially if you're seeing this after the show, okay? Tell me what you thought about the show. I'd like to have that conversation. And in the description, we'll have all the links to the Eventbrite, so you can get your tickets and directions and all that. So
and tell us, if I may, I would love to hear from people where else they would like to see our show. Because I Long Island is it's a bit saturated these days with tribute acts and different things. Hey, it's all right. And I just want to bring this show to places that people could appreciate it. And there's a lot of club venues our show won't work at because of the multimedia aspect. So we have to stick more to the theater venues, which is where I would like to keep it. But if anybody has some venues that they think this show would go over really well, I'd love to hear. And I'd love to look into them.
Great. Wonderful. We'd love when people comment on this. So this show will be on YouTube. It'll be on Spotify, as well as if you're listening to this as an audio podcast and you want to see what this old gray-haired guy looks like, to give balance to two beautiful women, go to the YouTube site. What can I tell you?
Looks great.
Hey,
the hair looks great.
Mine? It's real.
I was going to say, it looks great to me.
I don't color or anything. I did have pizza, so my face is like totally red.
You get red face from pizza?
I get red face. Yeah. I blush because I don't blush anymore, because, the filter's gone and nothing embarrasses me. The only person I embarrass is my wife when I have conversations with people. And she's listening. So
that's sweet.
So you create blushes in others.
Yeah, it's called button pushing. Benjamin Buttons. Sometimes you can push the button a little too hard, and it's not good. Hey, it's really been a blast. I'm really excited about what you're going to do. I'm going to do my best to go to the show. I'm going to encourage everybody to do so, and bring your kids and your young gentlemen and your young women to see this and take a look at the possibilities. Let's break down those stereotypes. And theater is theater and music, as my friend Mike Nugent says. My music heals the world, and I really believe that. It's just vibrations, but it's good vibrations.
Yeah.
And
one other thing
please.
I'd like to add, and maybe Rorie could speak on this too. I think it's also really important we emphasize bring your male friends. Bring your male friends. I mean, I don't know if you want to speak on that, Rorie, because I have my ideas of why I think it's important to bring your male friends. But this is not just for women, even though it's Women of Rock. It's a celebration of women artists, but we all, come from women, and we all, have mothers. And I'm surrounded by a lot of guys that value strong women and have been raised by strong women. And it's created some really incredible men in my life. I'm very lucky to be surrounded by amazing men. And that's why I think it is very important to bring guys to a show like this and have them witness the same thing, because it's not gender specific. It's really not. It's just
it's not just a chick thing, as they say.
It's really
like
not.
A chick movie. Right.
And bands that are all female, which we actually aren't all female. We have a token man. We like him a lot. He's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
We do. We have our token guy.
Check that box off. All right, good.
But bands that are all female, and I know this because I have been in bands that are all female, I've had people directly say to me, "Oh wow, it's a band of all women. What a gimmick." And I'm also not gonna name names, but I watched that same person turn around and book full bills of bands that were all men.
Of course.
And and so you say of course, which is good, because it's like it shows that you're a little tuned into it, right? But we talked about the elephant in the room, and one of the elephants in the room is that women aren't underrepresented in music because women just don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, women aren't brave enough or women aren't motivated to do that. It's music and many industries right, are male dominated because I'm going to say it because of the patriarchy, because we live in a patriarchal society, right?
Yep.
And so
with a dose of misogyny.
Yeah, right. And so women enter those spaces and have the experiences that Gina and I talked about, that my mom, talks about, that my mom and I trade notes about gigs and how 30 years have gone by and how sometimes it feels like 0 years have gone by,
Right.
And so the elephant in the room is that it's not just women who need to show up. Men need to learn to show up differently about women in music. And need to learn to show up for women in music the same way they show up for their brothers. And so that's important. And the more we normalize that, the better it is across the board.
Agreed. I think we lost Gina.
We lost Gina. She was like, "Oh, Rorie said patriarchy. I'm out." Cool.
Hey, Rorie and Gina, it was so great to have you on the show today, and really looking forward to Women in Rock.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me. We'll see you on the 15th.
All right. Be well, everyone.